Hey, adaptability family life. I just wanted to have like a real moment with you and share a little piece of our journey. We found out that Joseph had spina bifida when I was pregnant with him. And that was heartbreaking. Me as a person, I have what is called Asperger's. I have social issues. I've worked really hard through my college and mission life for my church. I deal with social issues and emotional issues all the time, and I've worked really hard at what I call trying to make myself as normal as possible. And I still don't have normal episodes, but I get through and I get by. And the Lord is my therapist, really. But it was really hard emotionally to take in that my son has spina bifida. And since then, it's just been one thing after another. And I would have these times when I find out something new, and I would have a day of tears. And I would just cry all day. And then I'd finally get my head back on straight the next day and have faith and move forward. And it was just hard. But when the first problem with this spina bifida, I had some self-blame. With my first three, I was really good at taking my vitamins, being on top of it, being proactive about it. Taking it way long before I get pregnant, because I'd be nursing and I'd have to have my prenatals and supplements with it, including folic acid supplements. And then we start trying again after they're weaned, about a year, or just a little after. Well, with Lucy's pregnancy and birth, I got a little bit more blues than I usually did with the other two. So we decided to wait a little longer. And in that, we found out that she was deaf and everything else. And, well, there's no everything else. It's just deaf. And we moved to Utah from California. And so I waited. I took natural things such as fish oil and flaxseed to get those omega-3s into my system to help me with my baby blues, because I had a really bad experience with a nurse practitioner when I was trying to just tell her what's going on, and she took it as something really bad, and I didn't even mean it that way. I wasn't even at that point yet where she was thinking I was, and I wasn't, and it's just ended up being a really bad situation. So I turned to my doula, and she suggested all these omega-3 things, and that helped. So I end up we end up not waiting than we usually did, longer before getting pregnant again. And then I had a miscarriage when we were starting to try again, and that hurt because I got pregnant, test was positive, got to the doctor, and something was there, but no heartbeat, and that was killjoy. And then you start trying again, and tested positive on the day I missed my period, and And then 4 days later, I had my period. And that, for some reason, psychologically hurt more than my first miscarriage that year. And then I got pregnant with Joseph. And because of the time spans is what I'm trying to focus on. Sorry. During that time, I excused myself from taking vitamins and stuff like that because I was done nursing Lucy at 14 months and everything. And so I wasn't taking my prenatals, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to get pregnant again. Let's take my prenatals. Oh, I think I'll be okay for not taking folic acid supplement. And that, from all that, and then when I was pregnant with Joseph, I chose these ones, and that really end up making me feel nauseous. And I usually have really easy pregnancies, and this pregnancy, it wasn't. It made me nauseous. So I'd skip a few days and then have a few more days and skip a few days. And so in that in itself, instead of being my usual, I'm taking my vitamins every day, I am doing it, I'm hard rock, I'm hardcore, boom. And this time I wasn't. And all that put self-blame into him having spina bifida. And I when we found out, of course, I started taking it, the folic acid. And that was rough. And it was just, and that was this, when we found out the spina bifida, it was just one thing after another. I had got high amniotic fluid, which put me on partial bed rest, and that's when COVID hit. And my kids were home and from school. My 3-year-old only had 2 weeks of preschool at the deaf school. And she was finally wearing her cochlear implants 8 to 10 hours a day. And now I can't even get an hour in, let alone, we don't even try anymore. Because of all the stuff is going on with Joseph, and we'll just have to get back into the swing of things when school is back on and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm sending my kids to school. I talked to my first kid's school, my first 2 kids, and telling them the situation. We need to be extra cautious because of Joseph's trach. I need to contact the deaf school and let them know. And Lucy's, let them know. So Lucy needs to be extra cautious as well. So we're not bringing things home. But mentally, I didn't handle it very well when I was pregnant. All I could do was, as Lucy's Zoom meetings with her 2 teachers for ASL and listening and spoken language, and Lily's online stuff. And it took me a few weeks to get the routine of that, of making sure they're doing everything. And I just, with Jason, I just, the ball dropped on that completely for preschool. They sent us home with tons of papers and projects and things and candy. And I just couldn't do it. I emotionally couldn't do it. It was hard with being in high amniotic fluid on partial bed rest, and I couldn't even keep the house together. Samuel was teleworking and everything, and so it was hard. It was really hard. And so mentally, I can't handle them at home again. I just can't do it. And then when Joseph finally gets home, I can't deal with having to deal with his trach, deal with his G-tube, deal with He's going to have occupational therapy. He's going to have eventually speech therapy. We're going to have to deal with eventually hearing aids in a few months' time. 7 months old. We're going to be dealing with lots of therapists and PIP program, parent, infant, toddler program. It's called PIP program. And for the deaf school, because he has moderate to severe hearing loss, and we're going to have a hearing mentor possibly again, and because that's what we did with Lucy when we moved here to Utah. We moved here for Lucy last year in January, because as we were out in the middle of nowhere, we were in the desert. All we had was early intervention, and it's so expensive in California, and other personal reasons. And I've always wanted to live in Utah, and we just pretty much Googled where are deaf schools in Utah, and the Ogden, and for the Utah schools for the deaf and blind, the Ogden branch was the first legitimate website we got to. And so literally a half an hour after her ABR test, that's a hearing test that she had to be put asleep for. You can do it for sleeping babies and not have to put them under when they're infants, but she was 15 months old. She had to be sedated, and half an hour after we got the results and found that she was profound hearing loss, deaf, and that we're going to Ogden. And it was like, whoa, we're going to Ogden. And we did it. The Lord guided us here, and it's been such a blessing, because Joseph, they have the high end of everything he needs here, all the cares that he needs here. Our primaries, his children's hospital in Salt Lake is the best place he could ever be. And I'm so blessed to be here for that. Otherwise, we would be traveling 3 hours to UCLA for my kids' needs. And we wouldn't be able to get all my kids' needs of where we lived. We could have even lost him. Even when we were here, I got into labor early. We were 6 weeks early. I thought they were Braxton Hicks. I had all my kids natural in the hospital in Ridgecrest. Well, the first 3. And no, I was scared of all the drugs and everything. So we always were prepared. We had a doula. We learned to relax through contractions and stuff like that. We always were prepared for our labors. When I had my babies, we had them 6 weeks early, and I had some signs saying I should go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital. And so we decided to go to the one nearby. Instead of down at primaries, if I stayed home or I went to Salt Lake, I could have lost him, because he was immediately starting respiratory issues. It was seconds, if not minutes, after he was born. And thank goodness I was at the hospital. And the helicopter is waiting for him already. They were going to fly me out, but I had him less than 2 hours after I got to the hospital. Yeah. But it was good. And everything went smoothly. Everything went perfect for that labor. I had the labor that I wanted. And my body's good for it. That's my emotional story. But it's still an emotional journey. Every time we Oh, he has a huge PDA, has this problem. He's still being dependent on the ventilator, and then we found out that he has a cleft palate. That was a journey. Like, I was really trying hard to nurse him. I really wanted to nurse him like I nursed all my babies. And that hurt. And so I should cut this. I could rant on and on, but I just wanted you to know the real, the real. I wouldn't say that. Like, it is real, it is genuine, and also the joy is, and having faith and positivity and stuff like that, and my blow ups back and forth. It's all me. All right, and thanks for letting me share that. Bye.